Emily's voice sliced through the elegant ambience of the private charity event like a thunderclap. Barron Trump, how dare you show your face here? Guests turned in shock as Emily, a determined activist, pushed past security and stormed into the center of the gathering. Her eyes blazed with fury, and she pointed an accusing finger at Barron Trump, who stood near the edge of the crowd, trying to remain inconspicuous. You and your family use your wealth for power, not for real help. Emily shouted, her voice echoing through the hall. The elegant decor and soft classical music seemed out of place in the face of such raw emotion. Crystal chandeliers cast shimmering reflections on the shocked faces of the guests. The soft clinking of glasses and hushed conversations were abruptly silenced, replaced by an electric tension. Barron felt the weight of the stares upon him, each one a mixture of curiosity and judgment. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding, but his expression remained composed. He knew that running or reacting with anger would only make things worse. Please, let her speak, Barron said calmly, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. I want to hear what she has to say. Emily's eyes were filled with determination as she stepped closer. You think your money can solve everything? My community has suffered because of the policies your family supports. We don't need your charity, we need real change. The guests exchanged uneasy glances, their initial shock evident. The rich aroma of gourmet cuisine mingled with the scent of fresh flowers, creating a stark contrast to the charged atmosphere. The tension was almost palpable, hanging heavy in the air. Barron met Emily's gaze, his expression sincere. I understand your frustration, he said. Please, tell us more about what your community is facing. Emily hesitated for a moment, surprised by Barron's willingness to listen. She took a deep breath, her anger still simmering but now mixed with a glimmer of hope. Our neighborhood has been neglected for years. The policies your family supports have only made things worse. We need jobs, education, and healthcare, not empty promises. The initial shock among the guests began to give way to a sense of curiosity. Conversations resumed in hushed tones, and the elegant decorations seemed to fade into the background as the focus shifted to the unfolding drama. Barron nodded, his expression thoughtful. I hear you, he said softly, and I want to understand better. What specific changes do you believe would make a difference? Emily's eyes widened in surprise. She had expected defensiveness, perhaps even hostility, but not this. She took another deep breath, her anger slowly giving way to a sense of purpose. We need investment in our schools, access to affordable healthcare, and job opportunities that pay a living wage. We need policies that prioritize people over profits. The tension in the room began to ease, the initial shock replaced by a sense of engagement. The guests leaned in, their interest piqued by the unfolding conversation. The elegant decorations and soft music now seemed like a fitting backdrop to the meaningful exchange. Barron listened intently, his expression earnest. Thank you for sharing that, he said. I can't promise immediate solutions, but I can promise to take your concerns seriously. Let's work together to find ways to make a real impact. Emily's anger had not entirely dissipated, but she felt a flicker of hope. They'll hold you to that, she said firmly. Our community deserves better, and we won't stop fighting for it. Barron nodded, his resolve unwavering. I respect that, he replied, and I want to be part of the solution. Let's continue this conversation and see what we can achieve together. The atmosphere in the room had shifted. The initial tension had given way to a sense of possibility. The guests, once shocked and uneasy, now watched with a mixture of admiration and curiosity. The elegant decorations and soft music seemed to take on new meaning, symbolizing the potential for positive change. As the conversation continued, Barron and Emily found common ground, their shared commitment to making a difference bridging the gap between them. The event, once marked by confrontation, now became a platform for meaningful dialogue and collaboration. Barron felt a shift in the room as Emily's passionate words resonated with the guests. They had been drawn to the event by a desire to contribute to a good cause, but now they were witnessing something far more impactful. The initial tension had given way to a sense of collective engagement. Let's continue, Barron said, his voice steady and composed. Emily, please, share more about the challenges your community is facing. Emily nodded, her initial anger now tempered by the opportunity to be heard. We've been struggling with underfunded schools, lack of access to healthcare, and unemployment for years. She began, her voice filled with emotion. The policies your family supports have only made things worse. We need real solutions, not just charity events. Barron listened intently, his expression sincere. I understand that the challenges are complex, he said. What specific changes do you believe would make the most significant impact? Emily took a deep breath, her frustration mingling with a newfound hope. We need investment in education, affordable healthcare, and job opportunities that pay a living wage, she explained. Our community deserves better, and we need leaders who prioritize people over profits. The guests leaned in, their interest piqued by the unfolding conversation. The soft clinking of glasses and the murmur of the ocean created a backdrop to the meaningful exchange, adding to the atmosphere of possibility. Barron nodded, his expression thoughtful. Thank you for sharing that, he said. I can't promise immediate solutions, but I can promise to take your concerns seriously. Let's work together to find ways to make a real impact. Emily's eyes widened in surprise. She had expected defensiveness, perhaps even hostility, but not this. She took another deep breath, her anger slowly giving way to a sense of purpose. They'll hold you to that, she said firmly. Our community deserves better, and we won't stop fighting for it. The tension in the room began to ease, the initial shock replaced by a sense of engagement. The guests leaned in, their interest piqued by the unfolding conversation. The elegant decorations and soft music now seemed like a fitting backdrop to the meaningful exchange. As the conversation continued, Barron and Emily found common ground, their shared commitment to making a difference bridging the gap between them. The event, once marked by confrontation, now became a platform for meaningful dialogue and collaboration. The atmosphere in the room had shifted. What started as a confrontation had evolved into a meaningful dialogue. Emily, still holding onto her sense of purpose, found herself unexpectedly hopeful. Barron's willingness to listen and engage had created an opening she hadn't anticipated. The guests, now fully invested in the exchange, watched with a mixture of admiration and curiosity. The tension that had initially permeated the room was giving way to a sense of possibility. The soft classical music played on, creating a harmonious backdrop to the unfolding conversation. Barron took a moment to gather his thoughts before speaking again. Emily, I want to acknowledge the struggles your community has faced. It's clear that real change is needed, and I appreciate your passion and commitment. Emily, though still cautious, felt a flicker of hope. Thank you for listening, she said, her voice softer but no less determined. It's been a long and difficult journey, and we need allies who are genuinely committed to making a difference. Barron nodded, his expression earnest. I want to be part of that change. While I can't promise immediate solutions, I can promise to use my platform and resources to support your efforts. Let's work together to identify concrete steps we can take to address the issues you've raised. The guests exchanged approving glances, their initial shock replaced by a sense of admiration for Barron's approach. The elegant decor and soft lighting now seemed to symbolize the potential for positive change. The atmosphere was one of solidarity and hope. Emily hesitated for a moment, then spoke with conviction. We need investment in education, affordable healthcare, and job opportunities that pay a living wage. If you're serious about helping, these are the areas where we need the most support. Barron listened intently, nodding as he absorbed her words. I understand, he said thoughtfully. Let's start by organizing a meeting with community leaders to discuss specific initiatives. We can work together to create a plan that addresses these needs and ensures that the support is targeted and effective. Emily's eyes widened in surprise. She had expected defensiveness, perhaps even empty promises, but not this level of engagement. That would be a significant step, she said, her voice tinged with both hope and caution. But actions speak louder than words. We need to see real commitment. Barron met her gaze with unwavering resolve. I agree. Let's set up a meeting as soon as possible and begin working on actionable plans. I want to be transparent and accountable throughout this process. The room buzzed with a newfound energy. The guests, once on edge, now felt inspired by the prospect of meaningful change. The atmosphere was one of collaboration and shared purpose, a stark contrast to the initial tension. As the evening continued, Barron and Emily continued their conversation, discussing specific steps and potential partnerships. The elegant setting, once a backdrop to confrontation, now became a space for constructive dialogue and planning. By the end of the evening, a sense of optimism had taken hold. The initial conflict had given way to the possibility of real progress. Barron's willingness to engage and Emily's determination had created a foundation for collaboration and change. As the evening continued, the transformation in the atmosphere was palpable. What had begun as a dramatic confrontation was now evolving into a meaningful and hopeful dialogue. Barron and Emily were not just speaking. They were engaging in a constructive exchange that had the potential to bring about real change. The guests, initially shocked by the intensity of Emily's outburst, now observed the conversation with a sense of admiration and respect. The tension had given way to a collective sense of purpose, and the elegant surroundings of the charity event seemed to take on new meaning. Barron turned to Emily, his expression earnest. "Emily, I want to ensure that our efforts are impactful and meaningful. Beyond the meeting with community leaders, what immediate steps can we take to begin addressing these issues?" Emily, though still cautious, felt a growing sense of hope. Immediate steps? We need to start with something tangible. How about organizing a fundraiser specifically for educational resources in our community? We could partner with local organizations to ensure the funds are used effectively. Barron nodded, his expression thoughtful. That sounds like a good starting point. I also think we should set up a task force to oversee these initiatives and ensure transparency and accountability. Emily's eyes widened in surprise. She had expected defensiveness, perhaps even empty promises, but not this level of commitment. A task force would be a significant step, she said, her voice tinged with both hope and caution. But actions speak louder than words. We need to see real commitment. Barron met her gaze with unwavering resolve. I agree. Let's set up a meeting with community leaders as soon as possible to discuss specific initiatives and ensure that the support is targeted and effective. I want to be transparent and accountable throughout this process. The room buzzed with a newfound energy. The guests, once on edge, now felt inspired by the prospect of meaningful change. The atmosphere was one of collaboration and shared purpose, a stark contrast to the initial tension. As the evening continued, Barron and Emily continued their conversation, discussing specific steps and potential partnerships. The elegant setting, once a backdrop to confrontation, now became a space for constructive dialogue and planning. By the end of the evening, a sense of optimism had taken hold. The initial conflict had given way to the possibility of real progress. Barron's willingness to engage and Emily's determination had created a foundation for collaboration and change. As the event came to a close, Barron approached the stage to address the guests. The room fell silent as he spoke, his voice steady and sincere. Thank you all for being here tonight and for supporting this important cause. I want to acknowledge the conversation we've had with Emily and the challenges her community is facing. I am committed to working with her and with all of you to make a real difference. The guests applauded, their admiration for Barron's approach evident. The elegant decor and soft lighting seemed to symbolize the potential for positive change. The atmosphere was one of solidarity and hope. Emily, standing nearby, felt a sense of satisfaction and cautious optimism. The evening had taken an unexpected turn, but it had opened the door to meaningful dialogue and potential collaboration. As Barron left the event, he couldn't help but reflect on the night's events. The confrontation had been intense, but it had also been a powerful reminder of the importance of listening, understanding, and taking action. The story of the charity event quickly made headlines, with media outlets picking up on the dramatic confrontation and the subsequent dialogue. Social media buzzed with reactions, both critical and supportive. Some praised Barron for his willingness to engage and listen, while others remained skeptical of his commitment to real change. Barron faced the media firestorm with a sense of determination. He knew that his actions would be scrutinized, but he was resolute in his commitment to making a difference. He reached out to community leaders, organized meetings, and began working on actionable plans to address the issues Emily had raised. As the days turned into weeks, Barron's efforts began to show tangible results. The fundraiser for educational resources was a success, and the task force he had established worked diligently to ensure transparency and accountability. The collaboration with Emily and her community brought about positive changes, and the initial skepticism began to give way to a sense of hope and possibility. In the days following the charity event, the story of Barron and Emily's encounter gained widespread attention. The dramatic confrontation and subsequent dialogue resonated with many, sparking discussions on social media and news outlets. The video of the event went viral, with countless viewers weighing in on the exchange. Some praised Barron for his willingness to listen and engage in meaningful dialogue, while others remained skeptical, questioning his family's commitment to real change. The media buzzed with a mix of admiration and criticism, and Barron found himself at the center of a media firestorm. Despite the intense scrutiny, Barron remained resolute in his commitment to making a difference. He continued to engage with community leaders, organizing meetings and working on actionable plans to address the issues Emily had raised. His efforts began to show tangible results, and the initial skepticism started to give way to a sense of hope. One evening, Barron sat in his office, scrolling through the flood of comments and messages that had poured in since the event. He knew that his actions were being closely watched, and he was determined to follow through on his promises. He reached out to Emily, inviting her to join him in a public update on their progress. When the day of the update arrived, Barron and Emily stood together on a stage, addressing a crowd of supporters and media representatives. Barron spoke first, his voice steady and sincere. "Thank you all for being here today. Over the past few weeks, Emily and I have worked closely with community leaders to address the challenges her community is facing. We have organized a successful fundraiser for educational resources and established a task force to oversee these initiatives with transparency and accountability." Emily stepped forward, her expression one of determination. "I appreciate Barron's willingness to listen and engage. Our community has faced significant challenges, but with this collaboration, we are taking meaningful steps towards positive change. It's important that we continue to hold each other accountable and work together for the greater good." The crowd applauded, their admiration for the collaborative effort evident. The atmosphere was one of solidarity and hope, a stark contrast to the initial tension of the charity event. Barron and Emily had not only addressed the issues at hand, but had also set an example of how constructive dialogue could lead to real progress. As the event concluded, Barron and Emily shook hands, a gesture that symbolized their commitment to working together. The media captured the moment, and the image quickly spread across social media and news outlets. In the following weeks, Barron's efforts continued to gain traction. The initiatives he and Emily had discussed began to take shape, and the impact on the community was becoming increasingly evident. Schools received much-needed resources, healthcare access improved, and job opportunities were being created. The positive changes did not go unnoticed. Barron received messages of support from individuals and organizations who admired his dedication to making a difference. The initial skepticism had given way to a sense of hope and possibility. Reflecting on the journey, Barron realized that the experience had not only been about addressing the immediate challenges, but also about learning and growing. The confrontation with Emily had been a powerful reminder of the importance of listening, understanding, and taking action. In the weeks that followed, the collaboration between Barron and Emily continued to gain momentum. The media attention brought a surge of interest and support from various organizations and individuals who wanted to contribute to the cause. Barron remained committed to his promises, working tirelessly to ensure that the initiatives they had discussed were implemented effectively. One day, as Barron sat in his office reviewing the progress reports, he received a message from Emily. She expressed her gratitude for his dedication and shared an update on the positive changes happening in her community. Schools were receiving much-needed resources, healthcare access had improved, and job opportunities were being created. Barron felt a sense of fulfillment as he read her message. The initial confrontation had led to a meaningful partnership, and the impact was becoming increasingly evident. He knew that their work was far from over, but the progress they had made so far was a testament to the power of collaboration and empathy. Reflecting on the journey, Barron realized that the experience had been transformative not only for the community but also for himself. He had learned the importance of listening, understanding, and taking action. The confrontation with Emily had been a powerful reminder of the responsibility that came with privilege and influence. As he sat back in his chair, Barron thought about the broader implications of their work. He knew that there were countless other communities facing similar challenges, and he was determined to continue using his platform to make a difference. He reached out to other community leaders, seeking to expand their efforts and address a wider range of issues. The positive changes in Emily's community did not go unnoticed. The media continued to cover the story, highlighting the tangible impact of the collaboration. The narrative had shifted from skepticism to admiration, and Barron received messages of support from individuals who were inspired by his commitment to making a difference. One evening, Barron sat down to write a reflection on the journey for a public address. He wanted to share the lessons he had learned and encourage others to take action. He began writing, his words filled with sincerity and hope. Dear friends, the journey we have embarked on together has been both challenging and rewarding. What began as a confrontation at a charity event has evolved into a powerful partnership, one that has brought about meaningful change in Emily's community. This experience has been a reminder of the importance of listening, understanding, and taking action. Our collaboration has shown that real change is possible when we come together with empathy and determination. We have made significant progress, but our work is far from over. There are countless other communities facing similar challenges, and it is our responsibility to continue using our resources and influence to make a difference. I encourage each of you to reflect on the impact you can have in your own communities. Together, we can create a world where everyone has access to the opportunities and resources they need to thrive. Let us continue to work together, with empathy and understanding, to build a brighter future for all. Sincerely, Barron Trump. The address resonated with many, sparking further discussions and inspiring others to take action. It served as a reminder that even in moments of intense confrontation, there is potential for growth and positive change. As Barron continued his work, he remained committed to the principles of transparency, accountability, and empathy. He knew that the journey was ongoing, but he was determined to make a lasting impact. The story of the charity event had become a powerful example of how listening and understanding could lead to meaningful change. In this dramatic and emotional story, Barron Trump attends a private charity event in Miami, hoping to support the cause quietly. However, the event takes a dramatic turn when an angry activist named Emily bursts in and publicly accuses Barron of using his family's wealth for influence rather than genuine help. Despite the intense confrontation, Barron remains composed and asks Emily to share her concerns. Emily reveals the struggles her community faces due to policies supported by Barron's family. As the evening progresses, Barron and Emily engage in a meaningful dialogue, finding common ground and discussing concrete steps to address the issues. The confrontation evolves into a partnership, leading to positive changes in Emily's community. The story explores themes of empathy, responsibility, and the power of collaboration, concluding with Barron's reflection on the impact of their work and a call to action for others to make a difference.